Hello everyone, this is Jackie Williams, and in this video I want to share with you a fun fold card with a floating element on the front. And I'm going to be using the Lighthouse point for my sample today. This is just a really great bundle for general cards for anyone, also really suitable for the guys in your life. And just want to point out that the dies actually can layer on top of each other. You have the detailed die and then the outline die. And then you also have this kind of outline die and the detailed die in pieces over here on the side. And then you have some labels and then some dies that fit around the stamped images as well. And I'll just show you some samples with those. So I wanted to first show you the card that I'm going to make with you, and I'll also be giving you measurements as we go along, so you may want to grab a pen and paper. And you can see that we've got this great floating element on the front. It's kind of hard to show on a video, but and then I have made this a double opening card, and we're going to stamp on the smoky slate. So what I want you to maybe visualize that might help understand how to put this card together, it's like a standard card, but it just has this big strip missing out of the middle front piece. So let's get started with the base of our card. I have a piece here that is 4 1/8 inches wide by 6 3/4 inches, and I have scored that this way at 5.5 inches. And then this piece is 4 1/8 inches by about 1 1/4 inches. So if we can visualize it, this is the piece that is at the top of my card. And then this is the piece that's going to sit at the bottom of my card. And you see this area is kind of that imaginary slit that has been cut out of the front of my card. Now we just need a piece that's going to connect these two. But I'm going to do just a little bit of embellishing as we go along. So I have here 2 pieces of smoky slate, and they are each 4 1/8 inches by, one is 1 inch and one is 1 1/8. And then I have smoky slate and the image from the stamp set that is kind of like a cloud sort of image, this one here. And I'm going to use that to create a bit of a edge to my pieces. So I'm actually going to stamp it off so it's not so dark. You also could use a blending brush if you wanted to just put some ink along the edges without stamping. Then I'm going to go ahead and put these onto my basic gray pieces. And I'm going to have my stamping towards the top and bottom, so it just gives the card a nice frame like that. I'm also going to take my scissors and just rough up these edges a little. Now I want to prepare that piece that is going to connect those 2 loose pieces, and I'm going to stamp on this with my smoky slate stamp again, and I'll stamp on this top and bottom as well, maybe a little more right there. There we go. That also just gives us visually something for that lighthouse to sit on down here at the bottom. Now I've matted these 2 pieces together, and I've put dimensionals on the back, but just at the top and bottom. So now what I want to do is have this piece in the right place, and I'm going to line it up against the bottom of the card. Because just so it's clear, if you try and line it up like this, you actually don't know where to put it. So I find it's easiest to just have the card closed and have that lined up, and then use this piece, just put that down there, and that connects the 2. I also intentionally made this piece down here double layered, because otherwise if it's just one piece of cardstock and it's really attached to nothing else, it does, in my opinion, tend to feel just a little bit flimsy. Next, I've got a piece of balmy blue cardstock, and that is 3 7/8 by 5 1/4, and I have embossed that with the cloud embossing folder. And you can just put that in to the back and maybe just write on the back of your card. However, I've chosen to make this a double opening card. You don't really want to have this as your place to write because, as you can see, most of it is exposed. So a lot of it is not really suitable for writing on. So I've made this inner piece out of smoky slate just for something a little bit different. And this is 3 7/8 inches by 10.5. And then I've just scored that in half at 5 1/4 inches. Now that is the construction of our card finished. So now we just need to embellish the front. So I have these Lighthouse dies, and I have got the detail of the lighthouse cut out in basic white, and then that colored piece that sits behind in Merry Merlot. I just love that combo of the Merry Merlot and the balmy blue. Then I have the top of my lighthouse in basic black, and then the little railings here out of the specialty silver foil. And I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put the lighthouse on, and I'm putting that on with dimensionals. And just decide about where you want that to sit, about like that. So you see that stamping down here at least gives our lighthouse something to sit on. And then I will put the lighthouse top on with dimensionals. And then this piece is a little more tricky because it's so thin. If I had thought ahead, I would have cut that with our adhesive sheets on it, but I didn't. So I'm just going to put that on with a little bit of Tombow. Then next, to do the string, I was inspired on how to do this string by the sample actually right out of the book. I have just taken two about 6 inches pieces of linen thread and just knotted them together at each end. And then I'm going to take a glue dot and roll it up so that it's very small, just enough to fit under that knot of the linen thread. And I've got a little glue dot on the other knot of linen thread, and just kind of position that so that the glue is, or the glue dot isn't going to show. And then you could put a little glue dot here. I'm just going to put a little drop of Tombow glue for this linen thread to sit on, just to hold that loop down, and just let that dry for a minute. Now, if you find that your linen thread isn't quite long enough, you can always just cut the linen thread here in the middle. Next, I have stamped the Sending You Love and Light from this stamp set, and heat embossed that on black and cut that out with the label that's included in this die set. And then I've got dimensionals just on the either end, so it's going to straddle over our linen thread like this. There we go. And then I want to use just some gems, but nothing too sparkly. These solid faceted gems are a favorite of mine at the moment. I just love the color selection. I have found all of these colors very useful. So I'm going to use these balmy blue ones and just place 3 of those. So we're just kind of surrounding those words a bit. Then the last thing is I'm just going to stamp on the inside of my card, and make sure you always use your stamp mat when you're stamping with photopolymer. And I'm going to stamp first the Lighthouse with smoky slate. Now you probably would want to actually do this before you put it into the card. Now you could also stamp this stamp that we did along the edges here, along the edges of the inside of the card. Now really, ideally, in hindsight, we should have done this before we stuck it in, but I think that we can wing it. Then I'm going to stamp the details of the lighthouse with that Merry Merlot, which is the color that we've got on the front. Take your time and carefully line that up. There we go. I love that. And then this set has another small stamp to add additional details in between these stripes, and I am going to stamp those in the basic white ink. And it looks really white when you initially stamp it, but as it dries, it tones down quite a bit. But even so, I love that. And last thing, we'll just stamp our words in black. So there we go. That is our card finished. Now, I want to show you a few variations of this concept of fun fold card. So these ones happen to also use the Lighthouse point bundle, but you can see that it's now orientated the other way. And for these ones, I've actually used the stamps only without the dies. And I've got some on white, some on colored, some are on the right-hand side or on the left-hand side. So there's lots of variations with this one. Then this one, I've actually made a square card, and I have used 3 elements to attach my top and bottom together using the Bottled Happiness stamp set. I just love how this one turned out. I love these colors in particular. And then for this sample, I have orientated it portrait way. And this time I have got the dies from the True Beauty bundle or the Awash with Beauty suite, and use that lattice die to actually attach my 2 pieces together for a very pretty look on this one. For the last 2 samples, it's the same floating technique, but this time I've inserted a piece of window sheet in between the top and the bottom piece. That just gives it another element of shine. It also perhaps makes the card just that little bit more sturdy. And this one I've also used like a border die, top and bottom, so you can have those different edges. And then this one, we've got the palm trees on the window sheet, so you can get more of a floating element look. So I hope that gives you lots of inspiration and that you give this fun fold a try. Please subscribe to my channel while you're here, leave me a comment, and share this video with your friends. And I'll see you next time. This is Jackie. Bye-bye.